What's good, everybody? It's King here. Hope you guys are having a great day. I just want to go and make a few announcements, but at the same time, say, as you see by the title and on the screen, we are back with another tier list, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. I first want to say I appreciate all the support, all the love, and appreciation that you guys have gave, not just on Twitch, but on this channel when it came down to my shorts, repping my Elden Ring playthrough, and same time, case of being the DLC and at the same time on stream, supporting my series Vulcan the Lost One, and in season 3 with the DLC of Elden Ring, Shadow of the Air Tree, or Land of Shadow. I just want to go and say I really do appreciate all the support and love that came with that. And again, the support on Twitch has been bussin', and the support on the shorts involving the case again the DLC have been interesting and lovely. And I'm so proud of myself for actually beating the case of Shadow of the Air Tree, and I really do appreciate all the case support. But as you see on the screen, with this being said, this is a tier list of obviously Elden Ring and power scaling. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing why I have things the way they are, explaining a few different things. And yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy. But before I get into anything of this certainty, this is based off of consistency and concreteness and just taking the lore of Elden Ring at its greatest face value merit, but also connecting some dots of reasonable pan together logic. There's a bunch of different debatable talks within this. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. But if you truly disagree with anything that I'm saying, anything that I present in this video, please come debate me. I will debate you on anything that I have made in the past. If I still believe what I say is the case that it is in that video or anything like that, but almost anything. If you want to debate me, I can give you my Discord. But with that being said, I hope you guys will enjoy. Let's go and get into it. So, for the bottom of the tier, being question mark slash no scaling, we have Mikola. Mikola amps Radam, but besides amps and hypothetical higher plane status as a god, you don't really have anything concretely to say about him. But I would say that he can only be as powerful as a person that he's with, as he doesn't really have any considerable strong sense scaling to anybody, as someone like Radon is doing all his work. He's literally getting carried by him. So Mikola would have no strong sense of actual merit or purpose against anybody in the verse besides hypothetical charm being a way to deceive them, but we don't know exactly how his charm intimately works. There's also the argument that, him amping Radam allows the amp to course over from his perspective, meaning that he's pretty much a healer with no AP, with no speed, no nothing. All he really has is hacks, and I'm not really comfortable putting him anywhere without like having a debate of can Mikola legitly just beat everybody's because he's a god, and I don't really agree with that sentiment. So yeah, no. Godwin is obvious. Godwin has had a lot of high end take from him being one, the greatest son of Queen America and Godfrey, but it's mixed interpretation of that's not just a reputation thing, a legacy thing, or fighting thing. I know that he beat and made a pet out of a legendary dragon, the Landsax, and was considered one of the greatest dragons from Missoula, but we don't know really where that scaling holds. I would not say that puts him on the same bar as his father or makes him, near Placidusix or anything like that. And Godwin in general is just not in that same high octane revereness as like other people on an actual reasonable scale. And he's dead. He got assassinated by Black Knives assassins. I know there's a bunch of context to that, and having the rune of death in the palm of their hands, like shit, and all their record of shit. But I don't really think there's anything strongly to sting him in a higher wager than anything else. The Cheeks tier is pretty self-explanatory. People that are all objectively weak to the grand nuance, overarching play of characters, where scaling is a lot more set in stone and there's a lot more variables. Melina don't do shit. Fia can't. Sir Gideon, unless you actually think he could do something to the Tarnish, which a lot of people would not. The same thing that goes for Lita and any of the people rocking with her. Godric is the weakest of the demigods and has poor scaling. Ronnie is only here because of her magic, possibly being able to consume these people entirely, as it was shown in multiple form of feats. And same time, case of scaling and accounts from co-directors and producers, Miyazaki himself, within the direction of shit, that Ronnie's magic is in the case of the most high ground case of scaling for the Carrion Knights, Royals, everything. Her magic is the most super like thing. Her shit is pretty much so out of this world that it can literally disperse anybody that is weaker than her, hypothetically, out of this world, because of the fact that her shit can atomize people on a spiritual level. And at the same time, she also made a universal pocket dimension, which this is shown in different record of feats, and at the same time accounts, like I said, where in the case that she made an entire illusion that was based around a pocket dimension for her mother, Renala, and has a capability to extend those heights by being able to make illusions only pertain to one or this person, and is able to go beyond, her physical state, and can do a lot of shit that these people below her realistically could not, stand to. And the reason why two other people are above her is because, again, her stuff is only pertaining to people on a weaker scale, as her, as Ronnie or Rena the Witch, is only on a smaller scale stance. She possibly could not do those same absurd case of feats to her own mother, who is, the GOAT, the ultimate armada, and in full form of magic. She reps to the creed of everything. It has to be found in magic to work, as she is, queen of the Carrion Royals. She fought Rotterdam to a standstill and did the most high octane shit ever seen in the Lands Between when it comes down to sorcery. So with that being said, that's the reason why she's there. This is even in the case of her draconic state, as she still has a great absurd amount of magic. And Ronnie, if we play in the character, might not use a greater overarching dubious trickstery case hacks on her own mother, especially because there's a hypothetical that because of how powerful she still is, it wouldn't work. Then you have Margit, who, even though is just a simple one-off clone of Morgott, the fact that he, at the end of the day, is a clone of him, so he has some semblance of his strength, even if he's not on the same grand scale that Morgott, the Omen King, last of all kings, son of Godfrey, the Morgoth, in my opinion. He should still, by power and skill, be able to outshine that, because you have to understand that, yes, Ronnie made a universal pocket dimension, but everybody else, in the case of, C tier or pillars of power, would be able to overstand that because of all their accounts. There's speed to take into play, as everybody in Cheeks does not have any renowned case of no speed scaling, depending on how you perceive them, and mixed regard of the fact that because everybody here is way more renowned in skill and capabilities, that they would reasonably be able to overshine her. They're stronger than her magic, and they're stronger than her by base physicals. So that right there would make them, universal. So I also make this clear that everybody on this tier list, in some way or some form, are reasonably equal in that regard, but then obviously hack, skill, and speed is what's gonna, take factors. So yeah, that's for Cheeks, with this being said. Now, for Pillars of Power, at the bottom we have Fire Giant. This should be self-explanatory. With his size, mixed with the fact that even though he does not have a whole string of, Outer God's Flame in entirely the palm of his hand, because of how renowned and ridiculous the Fire Giants at their prime were, he would reasonably be here, because he at least has a little smidge of that to be grasped, and this power was way out of the bounds of possible comprehension of any of these people, because they're just so fodder, and he's beyond them in every cuss, and I just feel like he could outlast them way harder than ever, right? So yeah, that's just kind of where it is. With this being said, I know, like, there could be a debate that, his mental cannot be prepared for, the greater magic of Ronnie, but the fact that his fire is so much of a higher base of power, and the fact that the Fire Giant is a very resourceful motherfucker, his barrel roll will kill them, literally by default, because he's terribly designed as a boss. It is what it is. Rykard, self-explanatory too. He was renowned and hailed as being a very legendary warrior, being a very confident usurper of different things, ruthless, relentless, and in his serpentine form, he holds all the new barrel pour of might and magic and pales a whole new different comparison than the case of his two siblings, as he was a guy that was revered for always trying to find the greatest cup of strength and power. As we all know, that he is a blasphemous, lustful for power nigga. This man will find a way to Ganius Julius Caesar his way out of shit. But because of the fact that he's not in the same skill set as other people, he's slow, overly big for in comparison. And if we go by game model, he is bigger than Fire Giant. That's really the only case of like actual advantage and true shit he could do. Now, Morgoth should be self-explanatory. Now, these people are debatable, right? Because of them being, accounted to be equal in strength. The two Omen twin brothers, right? They are basically in the same bar of strength, paw for paw, bang for bang. I would say that Moog, with actually facing him in the boss and taking in all his hacks and his scaling and what he can do in his second phase, would be objectively stronger than Morgoth in the grandstand. But they're so relative, you can make a case for either of them. I would like to say that Morgoth, because of his skill and experience, and facing a guy with hypothetical better scaling could win, but there's an argument that he faced a young Radahn that was not full, capable in his capabilities, not full ready in mind, body, and magic. He wasn't full pure standpoint of that dude at that point. You know what I'm saying? But they both have a good reckon of different greater scale. But I believe the Omen, Lord of Blood, could overallly go about pouring nothing but the most fiery and brimstone blood magic and drain his brother into eventual, suplex this motherfucker with his trident and just devour this motherfucker's body just by suckling him dry. I'm talking bloodbend that nigga. Pause. Like he would just be on a whole new demon state of time when he gets in the second phase. But again, they're so relative that you can make a case for either of them. I just all around see Moog outweighing the odds against his, brother in sorts. I really feel like Morgoth doesn't have as much in the case of his artillery, I guess you could say, to really outdo him all around greater sense. All he really has to me, I would say, is like, experience and skill. But I feel like mainly on the skill, it's like a mixtape bar. But I would still keep Moog here. Now, for a curse or Draconin, Radahn, aka Radahn with Stage 69 brain cancer is here because he still has all the rack of all trades, greater emphasis of powerhouse capabilities that he would just overrun these people, and or would still be ballistically on a whole new height of strength. And he was still considered one of, not the most mightiest demigod of the Shattering at this point. So yeah, this is why he's here. Now R'hllana is here because of her being the second strongest of the Carrion Knights, being a revered fighter beast. She's a very intricate fighter. She's one of the most greatest duelists in the lands between, and is said to be one below R'hllana. Now R'hllana here is not an illusion. This is in her prime. R'hllana, queen of the full moon, queen of the Carrion worlds, the greatest sorceress in the lands between. Alright, this woman was able to stand to Radahn, Rhaenys, Rykard, Mesmir, half of the motherfucking Pantheon of Elden Ring's father, Radagon in his prime, aka when he was young, which is right here. We're gonna get to him. And she was said to be one of the most resourceful, mages, sages, sorceresses, all that. So she needs to be here. Alright. She recently will be stronger than her half sister or little sister. I don't fucking know what R'hllana is to R'hllana, but it doesn't matter. Like, she would just be so much of a more apex wild card for her that she couldn't even perceive. And everything that Ronnie is by default, R'hllana can cup that shit into a ball and just multi-smack down these motherfuckers. She will be playing all different type of infinity pools. She's the Doctor Strange of Elden Ring, like shit. She's beyond her comprehension. There's no one that can tell me I'm wrong. Alright, she's ridiculous. Alright, there's even an argument that she's faster because of how much complex her magic can be. Now we have Mesmir the Impaler. So in my last ship, I don't really know where you could confidently scale him, but after reading in, he is considered to be one of, not the strongest demigod at general form stand in the case of the current lands between that we play in as a tarnished. He is one of the most revered people. He's a very skilled demigod, and his power when it comes down to his great blazing fire, snakes, and very ridiculously proficient skill, he's a beast. And his Serpent King form, right, would just stack 100 times more with that. Now the problem with him is that, again, Like, if we just say that because he's supposed to be on this revered scuff, he should scale evenly to these people, that's true, but there's also a problem with, speed, because you don't know how fast he is. But if we ignore that he should beat these other people, let's just say everyone's relative, because for the most part, everyone is. Everybody bare minimum should be scuffing on the relativistic multi-time to reasonably massively faster than light, right? I'm not even going to try to play the arguments I played before because you kind of still stand with a person being more than this and this and this, but at face value, just reading the lore, they should be even. But with that argument being said, he's very powerful, but these guys have a lot more arguments and merit to them. I do not believe that because of the fact that he's said to be one of the strongest in the current lands between, that would make him stronger than the higher big margin of speed, power, and most importantly skill of the original OG Great A D1 Slayer niggas. Alright, so let's talk about Radon in his prime, aka when he's 35 to 40 feet foot tall. He was in the same regard of great beast mode and beyond comprehension shit that Mesmer did. I know that Mesmer holds the power to scorch an opposite plane of, the lands between, is able to cut between the lines of the cosmology, is able to scale to the Erd tree in it, where this motherfucker literally dissolved tarnish hypothetically of normal grace, and he is an apex fighter, a legend in his shit. But this motherfucker would not be able to beat Radon to me because Radon has the better hacks. He's obviously bigger. That's not entirely a big argument because all of these people being smaller beat Fire Giant. I'm just saying that because of his size, his great massive amounts of experience, skill, renownedness, and the fact that he can pull shit that Mesmer, by all accounts, never faced, I believe that he would all around outdo him. I believe there's some arguments you can make, but the only thing I feel like Mesmer has is that he has an overlasting greater range than Radon, and like his powers to use in character as Radon, depending on who he's fighting, because of him having so much high octane pride. He's all about himself. He's full honor bound. He's like Battle Beast, right? He might not use his greater echelon of shit depending on how he feels, especially because him and Mesmer are blood, even though I think only one demigod in the mainline lands between actually knows of Mesmer. I don't think Radon knows who this is. So that's why, to me, I think there's more arguments to say that he will kick his ass more times than not. Melania is the same thing. Obviously, Radon in his greater prime scaled to Melania. They, locked horns in combat. They're the mightiest demigods of the Shattering. But, I proved in the case of my, if Melania was put on trial for her crimes, that if Melania actually fought Radon at her greater, strength, when she wasn't tired and battered, the fight would have maybe ended different. She didn't need to go ahead and maybe blossom there. I know an argument can be made for Radon, but, there's a lot more emphasis of Melania with skill and valor being way more higher than what Radon could do at that time, and she's just on a whole different level, like that ass. But then we have young Radon, who is considered to be, without a doubt, in his full prime. I'm talking a guy to the same height to bigger than Morgott, but not to the same colossal stand as he renowned ridiculous behemoth beyond all case of cards, bro. Singing new heights of beast, a whole new out of the box case of motherfucker, bro. Like, if you take everything that he has been renowned for, what is being said, sorry, I was in my throat. Been talking for a minute without some water, but in full precise articulation, this man, if you take everything that he's been scaled upon, you think about everything that I said about Ronnie, stack that within skill, power, renownedness, and fury. He's a whole new Rolling Stone pack of fury that can never be outbested. But the only problem he has against his other people is the experience of his older self, maybe, the hacks of Melania, and so forth and so on. But he is without a doubt considered, in his young self, the concert Radon, without being manipulated by Mikula and not being bound to a false body of himself. He is a whole new stinging new record form of a core to the bone. Behemoth beyond compare. This motherfucker is a zealous beast. He's the Tom Aspinall of Elden Ring, bro. Like, I'm sorry this sounds like Glaze, but Radon was hailed to be a guy that would be the person that your girlfriend and your boyfriend told you not to worry about. So if you take at face value, he's supposed to be the strongest demigod, and there's no one who should have beat him in his true prime than Melania and everyone. They would have got fucked most of the time. Now here we got Godfrey and Horalu. So this is a very debatable thing. A lot of people in the community and a lot of high-end statements and portrayals put Godfrey and Horalu on the highest scuff for any of the bosses, right? But there's a lot of arguments say that Godfrey slash Horalu was the strongest of a tarnish. He was the mightiest warrior from a different time in the lands between. Was this and this and this, but nigga wasn't actually on the same revered strength as some demigods because he's not a demigod himself. He's a very capable person, and because of grace, he is immortal in comparison, but he's not a normal defined figure. And because he is a whole built different regard of person, that's what puts him on these different scuffs. So let me make this clear to you, is that you could argue that he could be lower on Pillars of Power, or if you really think that the advertisement statement that says that he is one of not the greatest talents for the Tarnished because of his skill, renownedness, strength as Horalu, and the fact that because he's a Tarnished too, he could slay thy Tarnished, that is what makes him a whole different beast. So that is where the levels are. Now, the reason why I think this is a confident scale for him is because of not just his experience, the fact that he's holding back a bunch, the fact that he's immortal. He's the only person on this tier that we're talking about that has some sense of, like, death, counter, because, like, he can't die. They can't kill him. Like, if we take the fact that he still has grace, right? Because there's nothing to disprove the fact that he has grace, because the tarnish is one thing, and that's a whole nother argument, right? We're gonna get to him, but he simply put would just be beyond him. He would fuck every nigga up. There's nothing they could do. All right, so that's kind of where it is. And Horalu is so strong that, like, he would just bench everybody. There's just nothing that it could do against this Chad. Now, young Radagon was considered to be the Golden Order and the Lands Between's greatest form of foe. An ally. This man was the champion of champions. He was a whole new different beast case of figure, coming from the fire giants and laying none but the smackdown with his magic. His skill was renowned, his power was enormous, and he was a whole different complex person. Now, I think young Radagon versus Horalu is a very contingent fight. Because of his hacks, greater capabilities, it would kind of just give me the same feeling of Broly versus Godfrey, and so I believe that he would just all around just whop this man to eventual blam finish. And if he gets a hold of Godfrey, which I believe he can, he would just shrug any case of possible strength off with his colossal reign of magic. It's just beyond his comprehension. Then we have the Glowmite Queen, who would decimate everybody, as she's the queen of Black Flame. She holds destined death in the palm of her hand. She was built different as a fighter. She was a threat to Queen America's status, not as a full opponent, but to become God, as she was chosen by her own two fingers. She's an Empyrean, and she could ascend to godhood. And so she's just on a whole different colossal stand. We say that she has the rune of death. She's beyond everybody's comprehension. But the only person to defeat her, is the main man himself, Garank, the beast clergyman, Malekith, the Black Blade, the goddamn goat, death of the demigods. He would one tap everyone here getting socked. All right, and she's the only person that possibly fought him. Radagon maybe, but he's still mortal at this time, which is where the whole demigod status comes, and then only at one point, because of him tying with a bond with Queen America, as him and Queen America were most likely turned into each other, aka they fused because of the will of the greater will. So he could kill him reasonably. So, yeah. But then we have War Dogs, aka this is the debatable tier. So, like, Goddess of Rod Melania should be obvious. Her rot, her skill, her hacks should output so much greater array of shit that nobody could even counter, right? Then you have Consort Radahn, who is very strong, has a lot more hacks at disposal, and is being forever amped by Miquella, who should reasonably be the strongest demigod, and at one point in the story, one if not the strongest motherfucker to tarnish face. So I feel like that's a good argument. There's an argument though that these two are very relative, like they are here, right? Where, she rots, then he gets fucked. If he tries speed blitzing her and overraining her, then she gets fucked. There might be, an argument in character. She might have a problem like trying to kill her brother and like his lover, but I just feel like Radon's gonna get the dub most of the time, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Then you have Melina with the Glowmite Queen. She's only up here if you think the Glowmite Queen takes full case of the body of Melina, uses all her capable skills, and shines it out the most. And if we take hypothetical narrative presence, she should be a threat hypothetically to the Tarnish in some way, and that's only the case because of her status there. But we could put her in unknown, but I think there's a lot of arguments to say that she should be up here, right? Then Malekith, because in the Black Blade, when he's using the full throttle of Destined Death, and for y'all who don't know, Destined Death is conceptual erasure, meaning that he destroys someone's existence. So hypothetically, he hits anybody with the Black Blade, you're getting fucked. Like, you're getting instantly atomized to the fucking cubicle matter of your existence. So you're not even gonna exist when he hits you. And he's just such a complex fighter. He's a beast. The enforcer of Queen Marika on the greater half, he's just a fucking beast. Alright, don't fuck with Malekith, alright? Now, for the greater half of the tier list, we have Gods of Gods. Baal and Placidusax scale to each other. It doesn't matter, how their fight went. I know that, Baal snuck up on Placidusax when he had, 4 heads or whatever. But Placidusax and Baal exist on a whole different scope of reality to these people. First of all, they both scale to each other. So with that being said, Placidusax, iconic feat-size statement, they exist in a plane dissolved of time and space, what I'm saying, and his body legit distorts time, that would give him infinite to inaccessible speed. While everyone else is massively faster than light, these niggas are beyond their comprehension. So that right there, that just makes them, one-shot all of them. They're all getting fucked. It doesn't matter what the fuck they do. They're shit in comparison. And, Placidusax was said to be, the first basic Elden Lord before the Golden Order. He was top dog, Lord of the Dragons, the strongest dragon that's ever lived, and is beyond all confines of possible capabilities for any of these people. So it doesn't matter if a person has sexual erasure, hacks out the butt, rot. No. They can't even perceive them, especially because conceptual erasure arguably cannot work on them if Baal can hurt somebody that literally distorts time by existing, and then at the same time, by existing, distorts time to a greater deal. Like, you can't even affect them with conceptual erasure because they're beyond concepts of reality. I really want y'all to think about that. But anyway, add to the round table, Queen Marika and Radagon should, scale to each other. They're really just one and the same. She was able to hurt the Erd Tree. That's a conceptionable thing right there, hurting life itself. Radagon, controlled by the Golden Order, and his stone body should, narratively, because there's real precedence to his narrative, should actually, whop everybody and should have the same speed scaling. Then you have add to the round table, right? Because there's even an argument in the fucking Erd Tree, there is no time or anything like that. So, they should have the same arguable scale. Elden Beast should be obvious. He's just beyond everyone's plane of existence, and it can't even be realistically hurt by anyone on the tier list. But that don't matter to the man, the myth, the legend, the tarnished. Up here, self-explanatory. He beats everybody. Right? Plot armor, skill, doesn't matter. The tarnish is the tarnish. He solos his own verse. Okay. Then Goddess of Lands Between. She should be, on the scale of a whole new type of bar for a goddess, because she's beyond all comprehension of the lands between. She literally reinvents the world as we know it, turns the clock back, and that's ridiculous. So in her verse, she's hypothetically omnipotent. I'm not even gonna lie if you actually look into that. So there you go. Now, Chaos personified is this man, the Tarnish, when he is fueled by frenzied flame to the greatest extent, and is a being beyond comprehension, and just simply would overrule everybody. I mean, he destroys the ecosystem of the lands between. Changing the clock is something, but destroying how the universe is everlasting is ridiculous. His chaos reaches not just all out the lands between by destroying the Earth Tree, Shadow of the Earth Tree, and the Badlands. He breaks all confines of his reality. He does shit on a grade A universal level. Right? So that's like ridiculous to think about. But yeah, like it's that simple, gang. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. That's the tier list. If you disagree with anything on this tier list, please, speak it how you feel in the comments. Please be respectful is all I possibly ask. But if you want to come with the heat, go ahead. No diss. Regardless, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my army. Love ya.